Hey, everybody. Welcome to Thursday. And that means Spark Live. And you're probably wondering where the heck Taylor is. Well, he is on the road today traveling, but who knows? He may be watching. I'm not sure. But Taylor, if you're watching, give us a thumbs up, man. And I appreciate it if anyone else that's watching, that's finding value in all these Spark Lives that we've been doing, give us a thumbs up, share some love, share us with other people as well. And let's get the word out so we can help more people. So, we're going to be talking about a topic today that is really important. It's actually something that, as Spark Marketer, as a digital marketing agency, we are constantly monitoring so many different channels, comparing the results that we're getting for our clients with other people who are experts in the field. And those other experts, oftentimes have important insights into the expertise that we bring, and oftentimes they just confirm what we already know. So today we want to talk a little bit about some of those experts. They just did a panel recently, a webinar, and talked a lot about what they're seeing like for the rest of 2022 in local search. And so it was a really good discussion. I'm not going to be recapping all of it, but I did want to pull out some meat from that and talk a little bit about some of the benefits that you get when you're paying attention to local search. Spark Marketer, we don't want to be just another Me Too marketing company. We don't want to follow the pack. We want to lead the way in what we're doing for our clients. We want to be innovative with our solutions, which means we've got to stay cutting edge. If you guys knew how much time our team spends immersed in learning and looking at data and comparing, what we're seeing with, the clients that we serve, industries that we serve. Oftentimes, that is, where we get some of the inspiration that we get for how we innovate and how we improve results. So, thank you guys for being here today. We're going to be talking about this. Feel free to drop comments in the comment section if you have anything you want to add, any questions you want to ask. And thanks, Chuck Roydhouse and Mitchell, for dropping a pin and letting us know. It says Spark Marketer dropped one too, so I'm not sure who that is. That might be Taylor. So anyway, Taylor, if you're driving, don't chat, man. Okay, it's all right. Need you back. All right. So let's talk. What are these experts? First, let's identify these experts by name, because I want to give credit where credit is due. A lot of what I'm covering today are things that we already understand as a marketing company, but when we hear people like these people in this list of names I'm about to give you, it tells us that what we're doing is making sense to other experts in the field. So just real quickly running through their names. I'm not going to put them on the screen, but Amanda Jordan, RicketyRoo, Joy Hawkins, Sterling Sky, Ben Fisher, and then a company called Steady Demand that has a lot of research available, a lot of statistics that they make available in that too. So this is where a lot of this information condensed out of that webinar that they did recently. So what are some of the top local experts saying about local search? What was the biggest overall change in focus from last year, 2021, moving into 2022? Well, one of the first things that we saw, and we were seeing this as well, is that Google Business Profile is becoming even more important to local businesses and in local search. So Google Business Profile, many of you might know, used to be called just recently Google My Business. You probably heard us refer to it as GMB, or others refer to it that way. So Google Business Profile is what they call it now. And with that rebranding, there's a real improvement in a lot of the things that are available through that. Not only an improvement, but a real emphasis that Google has placed on Google Business Profiles, which means what? It means that your customers are actually going to Google Business Profiles and finding enough information there. It's kind of like a site light, if you will. It's enough information, enough pictures, enough contact data and everything else in order to actually make a decision, reading reviews, those things, to be able to make a decision to call, even before or even without going to your website to see your actual website. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't need a website. It'll never mean that. We hear horror stories. Just recently, Facebook's changed some things, and we know of a business that was reliant on Facebook as their only website. It was the place where they were marketing and visible, and their Facebook page was the place where they sent everybody. And then Facebook made some changes. Something happened. They lost their site. And guess what? They can't be found online right now because they don't have a website. So it's never okay to like totally focus on, one of the big services like Facebook or Google and the things that they provide. But it absolutely means that this is no longer a strategy just for, it's not like an SEO strategy just to, tweak the knobs and levers to make your SEO pop a little bit more. It turns out that right now, Google Business Profile is an important place to be for your customers. So think of it as a place to actually find and attract and land new customer opportunities. So focusing on that is really important. Use all the features. I mean, right now, there's certain ones that seem to matter more than others, but that's just a matter of today. And last week it was something else, and months from now it's going to be something else. Use all of it. It's all available to you. So make sure that you fully fill out your Google profile, and the more information there, the better. As far as the effectiveness of your Google Business Profile strategy. So let's talk about one of the other things that they said, and I agree, and it's sort of self-serving to say this, but I think it's important. What all of these marketers said is that they really like to niche down into specific industries. Okay. And what that means is that, when they decide that this is a kind of company in this industry that they want to serve, they go out and find as many of those kinds of clients as they can. Why? Because the more data they have about a particular industry, what's working and what's not, the more effective they can be as a marketing company to serve that industry and to serve those clients well. So it's like an aggregate of data that makes a huge impact in terms of the ability to see how certain strategies are performing. So look for and make sure, and this is what we at Spark Marketer have done as well, look for a partner in your marketing that has deep roots in the industry that you are in. So if you're in the chimney and venting industry, we're definitely the company you want to talk to. But, we want to be able to have those deep roots. And so any industry that we talk about going into, we go into it with a very serious eye toward developing deep expertise and deep roots in that industry. It's more than just, marketing in a bunch of places and trying to get a bunch of different businesses from as many different places and industries as we can. We try to go really deep. So that's a strategy that they're seeing work as well. And it definitely has worked for us. All right. One of the most unexpected things seen in local search during 2021. This was an interesting part of the webinar. The surprises, right? Marketers don't like to be surprised, and yet things are constantly changing in our industry. So we have to stay on top of those things. One of the things that they said was that they were surprised by how often the changes needed to be made, that Google Business Profile really needed to be looked at no less than every week and certainly every month, that changes were happening fast and that things needed to be updated, that the pace of change there and the pace of updates in order to really make use of it, that the more attention you paid to Google Business Profile on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis, the more effective that was going to be. And that was a little bit surprising because when it was Google My Business, I mean, it was not exactly set it and forget it, but in the very beginning, you could set up that profile and check on it periodically to make sure all your information was updated and everything was flowing through the way that it needed to. But it was kind of hands off, and now it's not hands off at all. It's much more intensive, much more. It requires active management on an ongoing basis to make sure that you're getting the bang for the buck out of that effort. But if you do it, you definitely see that that value. Something else that was surprising, and we noticed this as well and have had lots of conversations about it at work here, the fact that Google is now showing a lot more photos in its search results pages. That's really interesting. And before, I mean, it's always been just text, right? It's been the blue headlines and a blurb of text and then on to the next result and so on. More and more and more, we're seeing Google shifting, even in its Google ads and AdWords, you're starting to see pictures as well and videos and a lot more multimedia showing up. So I don't know if that trend will continue. Google always tests things, but it's been surprising to me how prevalent that's become. And you guys have probably noticed it as well if you do any Google searching just in normal life. How many times results are starting to include visuals. So pay attention to that trend, and we certainly are. And that's something that we want to make sure that we're on the cutting edge of as well, to be able to use those photos and optimize client websites in ways that those photos can get pulled, because your eye gets drawn to that right now. I mean, eventually it's going to be, if it's all just photos and everything else, and then it's going to be a really noisy page. I don't know how that serves anybody, but right now, having an image on Google search page, that's a real benefit. It draws your eye to it. Consumers are their attention is caught by seeing that, because it's out of the ordinary. It's not usual. So as long as that is making a difference, we're examining ways in order to try to get more of those in place. Okay, something else that was very surprising, unexpected, is the fact that even after all these years, I mean, 2 or 3 years now of people talking regularly in the local search community, these experts realizing that, the importance of making sure that your site contains really coherent links to other parts of your site, just what we call internal linking from one page of your site to another page. And it's amazing still, and we see this too when other clients or when prospects come to us and would like to work with us. One of the first things Taylor does is start with a site review, and he'll look at their website and make some determinations about where they are online with their online strategy. He'll look at their links, and internal links as part of that, and he'll see very, very often that they've not done a very good job of internally linking different pages on their site. And Google follows those links, and so do consumers. And so it's just a basic thing that we've been talking about for years, and yet it's surprising how many people still don't do a good job of internally linking their website. And it does take work, and those links break because you change a page or you move information, and so it's a constant management headache for your website if you're doing any work on your website at all to keep all of that straight. But it really is useful, and it really does work. So it's a needed thing. All right, any questions, you guys, let me know. Just drop them in the comments. I'll be happy to answer those. And we're going to move on now to the next section. What are the 3 main drivers for local search in 2022? So what are the things that are going to make the biggest difference and going to propel the local search industry forward this year in serving clients? So first thing, absolutely the first thing that is needed for any company, any freelancer, anybody who does SEO, SEM, local search work, being nimble and able to change quickly when things aren't working. This is, again, back to the Me Too marketing, right? Like, we don't want to be another Me Too marketer. We don't want to look at what all the other marketing companies out there are doing and then say, well, I guess that's what we need to do. Because if we do that, inevitably, then when things stop working, we're going to continue doing what we're doing because we don't know what else to do until somebody else shows us. And that's not who we are. So we lead the way. We want to know, how do we stay nimble? How do we constantly investigate what's working and what the next thing is, so that we're able to pivot and change and respond to those changes in the market to continue doing things that work. It's funny because I've seen so many different contracts for other marketing service companies that are, full of like, here's our agreement. This is what we're going to do for you every single month. And they spell out in great detail. And that gives a lot of business owners a lot of comfort because now they know what they're measuring, their marketing relationship against. Did they do these things? What none of these marketing companies will tell you is that oftentimes the things in that contract, in that agreement, are going to fail at some point to remain effective for you. But now they've got an out to say, well, no, we have a contract that says these are the things that we do for you. And you're stuck because, they're fulfilling their end of the contract, but they're no longer being effective. And there's a big difference between being effective and honoring an agreement, right? So our contract language is specifically written in a way that says, we will do for you what we find as being the most effective strategies right now. And when that changes, we reserve the right to change our strategies and to continue working for you, taking the money that you pay us and putting it toward those things that work better now. So it's specifically, we looked at that back in the beginning when we realized how much marketing changes on a daily basis. We wanted to be able to pivot. And it's a crucial part of what makes any marketing company effective and what makes digital marketing and local search marketing effective is the ability to say, you know what, I'm not seeing results in this strategy anymore. This is no longer effective as a tactic. We need to change. What do we need to do now? And knowing what to do is a big part of that. And then being able to do it quickly, being nimble and able to pivot fast to keep up with those changes and to find what is more effective and do that instead. So that's crucial. All right, number 2, still important, but going to be a big driver in this next year at least, continues to be getting links and getting reviews. So everybody knows the importance of reviews. Taylor and I have talked about it till we're blue in the face, and we'll continue to talk about it because it is still so important. And if we ever, if we know that we can get through to anyone about their reviews, then, we're doing a good thing because reviews are just such an important thing. Links are important too. And this is, it's not easy anymore. Goodness knows that's one of the hardest things that we're able to do for clients. And when we are able to do it, it's a big moment of rejoicing on our team because it's so hard. But finding places to get you good quality links online, backlinks to your website, that's crucial. If you're managing your own marketing, you're going to spend a lot of time doing this, but it's worth doing. The ones who are doing it are winning. The ones who are not doing it are losing opportunities. They are slipping behind. And when enough momentum, when a competitor has done their work to get good quality backlinks and good quality reviews, and you've not kept up, then you can, at some point, you're going to start feeling that competitive pressure in search results, and the phones are going to start slowing down. You're going to see more and more business, or less and less business, because it's going more and more to another business instead. So it just is important. It's a big focus in the coming year, certainly for the rest of this year. Be focused on that. If you need help getting reviews, we've got some great strategies for that. We've got tools to help with that. So, let's talk about that. You can always contact me. My email address, just real quickly, carter@sparkmarketer.com. And, we can talk about Customer Engine. That's one of the things that Customer Engine can do for you. But yeah, reviews are important. I can't really give you advice on getting links. It's such a huge topic, and perhaps we can tackle that one as a standalone Spark Live at some point. It'd probably be worth doing. But it is such an intentional and intensive, those are the words I'm thinking of, to try to keep up with that. So, all right, number 3 of the 3 main drivers for 2022, finding keywords that work well, but that not everybody knows about. This is like the Holy Grail, right? We talk with people in the search ad world and, AdWords and even Facebook ads and elsewhere, finding those magical phrases that get you eyeballs and get you search results, but may be ignored by a lot of the other people who compete against you for the same business. So this is where really creative people tend to do a little bit better, thinking outside the box, thinking about ways to, you know, capture the attention of someone who might be searching for your service through the back door or coming in through a window, a non-traditional way of thinking about what you do, right? So in plumbing, it may be something like what we call a long tail phrase, which is someone who is thinking not about, you know, repairing a sink, but maybe they're thinking already 2 steps ahead, like, well, if my sink is broken or my faucet is broken, then instead of just repairing it, I'd like to go ahead and get that new one that I've been thinking about anyway. And so they're searching in a very different way already than someone who's looking for repair work. They're looking at remodel, they're looking at some other keywords that might be really valuable, but might be largely ignored by a plumbing service company that's used to taking emergency service calls or repair and maintenance service calls. So every industry has examples. I just use plumbing as one right now, but every industry has examples of consumers who are somewhere in the process of deciding to call a company to do some work, and they're looking for the right company to use. They're researching their problem. They're researching solutions. Don't think just about the problem terms. Think also about the solution terms. Find keywords that are kind of hidden gems that nobody else is really thinking about, and could blow up your phones and bring in a lot of business when you need it, just because you're one of the lucky ones that figured it out, that there's a large pocket of people using a certain keyword phrase or set of keywords to find out what you're doing. A good example of this in the chimney industry years ago was Mark Stoner when he started his leaky chimney campaign. Leaky chimneys was one of those weird terms that at the time nobody searched for. Now, I mean, it's a pretty common term, and he used to get his AdWords clicks at a lot less than what he pays for now, or what other people who are using leaky chimneys as a keyword term. So just because it's not, it's a hidden keyword that not everybody uses now, doesn't mean that it'll always stay that way. It could be that it's going to be effective for a while, and then other people will see that, jump on the bandwagon. The sentiment in the consumer world turns a little bit. The phrases they're using to describe the problems begins to shift a little bit. And so now everybody's using a keyword that nobody used before. And so it can change. But the idea is to find the ones that work right now. And you'll probably notice I use that term a lot, like what's working now. That's the only thing that matters. It doesn't matter what works or what worked, a short time ago or years ago or whatever. It only matters what's working now. And the only way you find that out is through testing. And that brings me to a bonus point here. This is number 4, if you will, in the 3 drivers for the next year. Be creative in your problem solving. When what you're doing in your marketing no longer works, that's not a time to double down on what doesn't work and just think that if you dump more money into it and spend more time and effort on it, that it's suddenly going to become effective for you. If it's suddenly become ineffective, you need to start thinking creatively in your problem solving to see if there might be a shift or something else that you should be doing that is working more effectively now. So the only way you know that is to test. The only way you'll know what might work better is to take the A/B approach to the work that you're doing in your marketing, and do this with your marketer. We do it a lot. A/B testing different results. Like, this is our gold standard. This is the control that we're trying to beat. This is our A group. And then we're going to figure out a small change to that, and we'll call it our B group, and we'll run those ads, or we'll do that work against our A, our control, and see if we get better or worse results. If we get worse results, we don't do that anymore. If we get better results, that's interesting. Okay, what made it better? Well, it was probably that one little change we made. So now that becomes our control, our A group. And we start start with a new round of finding something else that we can tweak. We're always looking for incremental, better results. So be creative in your problem solving, test and rely on what's working. Use what's working as your baseline, and then see if you can't improve on that. Don't throw out what's working in favor of something radically different just because you have a hunch it might be better, right? You'll never know if it'll be better unless you test. So always reserve a little bit of your marketing spend for that ability to run ads in a test, for testing against your control or against what is working, if that makes sense. Let me just catch up here. Wow. Okay. With 4 minutes left, that brings us to the end of this one. I got through it all and followed the notes pretty well, so I'm pretty impressed with myself. Okay. If there are any questions or anything, feel free to email. You can email me, Carter at sparkmarketer.com, or Taylor at sparkmarketer.com. Happy to answer your questions. Always happy to hear from clients and from others as well. And just so you know, Spark Live, in addition to being on Facebook and YouTube live, you can also find it recorded on both of those channels. But then you can also see it download it as an audio podcast on Spotify, on iTunes, Google Play, anywhere that you consume podcasts. So if you're interested in listening to it after the fact, this will be turned into an audio podcast and available to you. So hope that helps in your work with your company and your marketing. And next week, we're going to be talking about the latest customer review trends. So we're back to reviews next week. We're going to be talking about some of the things that we're observing that are new, some of the things that are working well. We'll be talking about this over the course of at least 2 Spark Lives. So part 1 next week. Tune in. I think that's going to be a really interesting conversation. Okay, that's it. That's all I've got. Got a quick comment here. Let me just check. Oh, thank you, Terry. Always happy to have you here. Thanks so much. And I hope it was valuable to you this week as well. Thanks, everybody, for being here. We're going to call it for this week and see you next week. All right.